Welcome to Let's Talk Gardening. I'm Norma Samuel with the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, Uf-IFAS Extension, Sumter County. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about onions. Now is not really the time for you to be putting in onions in your garden, but because we have onions about ready to be harvested, I thought it would be a good idea to share with you about growing onions. Please excuse all the noise you'll be hearing in the background. There's construction of homes happening in the neighborhood, and also it's very windy today, so you'll be hearing some background noises, but please ignore those, and we'll be happy to talk with Lesroy, again my husband, and he will be sharing with you his expertise on onions. Lesroy, thank you again for joining us for Let's Talk Gardening, and we're glad that you're willing to share with us about the different onion varieties that you have here, how you've taken care of them, and next steps towards harvesting these onions. It's late to be planting onions right now, but I think it's a good idea for our viewers to know how to grow onions, so when it's time to put onions in, they'll have that information ready to go. So tell us about the different varieties you have here today.
I have 7 varieties of onions. They're all short day type varieties. There's 10, 15Y Texas sweet onion. It's a yellow variety. It's a huge onion, about 4 to 6 inches across when mature. Then there's the white variety, early Bermuda, another sweet onion type. It's about 3 to 4 inches across when it's mature. Then there's Legend, probably the most popular sweet onion. It's about 4 to 6 inches when it's mature as well. And the parent of Legend is 10Y15, 1015Y. Then there's Yellow Granite, which is a type of onion they grow in Vidalia onion, is usually called Vidalia onion. Then there are a couple of red ones, Southern Belle, and Red Creole. Red Creole is my favorite red onion in that it's more considered a storage onion. It will last from 6 to 7 months once it's harvested and properly cured. The other varieties tend to last 1 to 2 months. Then there's white Bermuda.
Now, you use the term short day onions. Could you tell the audience what the term short day onions mean? And there's also long day onions. So why are you planting short day onions as opposed to long day onions?
Bulbing of onions is induced by day length. So short day onions are those onion varieties that bulb when day length reaches 10 to 12 hours. Long day onions are those varieties that start bulbing when day length reaches 14 to 16 hours. And then there's intermediate day onions, which are those varieties that start bulbing when day length reaches 12 to 14 hours.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Now, how do you go about fertilizing your onions? What kind of care do you give these onions that you get them to be producing, these large bulbs that we're going to see very soon?
Onions are very heavy feeders, I would say. At pre-plant, I incorporate 10-10-10 NPK fertilizer. 3 weeks thereafter, I incorporate sulfate of ammonia 2100. And you want to do that every 2 to 3 weeks until the onions start bulbing.
Okay. So let's now get a close-up look at the onions. The tips of these onions are brown, and that's because the onions are close to maturity. Some of them already are, and that's why the tips are dying back. Now, Lesroy, how else do you know that the onions have reached maturity and time to harvest?
When the onions are ready to be harvested and they are mature, we say the neck break. So you see where the onions fall over, that's the stage when we say they're ready to be harvested. Again, they usually take about 110, 115 days to mature. So you could check from when you planted them has a guide as well.
And here you can see the neck on this one has fallen over. So it would have been standing upright like this, and then the neck falls over, and you know that that's time for it to be harvested. And that's the point where you want to harvest the onion if you expect to dry the onion. If you're going to be using it fresh, you don't have to wait for the neck to be broken. So how do you handle the onion from here on, Lesroy?
Yeah, I would just pull them out, just like that. Clip the roots off from the bottom, of course. And you can clip just about the neck. You want to leave about 3 to 4 inches of the neck on there, which will allow it to dry and seal up the tender inside. Once you harvest them, you want to take them to a cool, nice area to be dry. I have an apparatus that I use to dry them on.
Okay, and that's just a piece of mesh that you turn the onions upside down on to dry. Now, how long do you usually leave them on that mesh to dry before you store them?
It takes a couple of weeks depending on the environmental conditions.
Okay. Now, what variety is this, and about how much does that weigh?
This is yellow granics.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably maybe a half pound.
Okay. And what's the flavor on that like? Is it a pungent onion or is it a mild one?
It has a strong flavor. It's probably one of the number one. Actually, it's the number one sweet onion grown in South Georgia. This is the type that they call Vidalia onions.
Oh, okay. That's good for audience to know. Okay, so now let's go look at the red and white onions that you have in the other bed. We have some red onions and also some white onions. So what are these varieties, Lesroy?
This one here is Southern Belle. We'll harvest one of these right here. This is Southern Belle.
Mm-hmm.
It comes about 3 to 4 inches across when it's mature. It lasts about 2 to 3 months in storage.
Okay, very good.
Very pungent onion.
And you've already pulled one of the white ones, and what can you tell us about that particular one?
This is white Bermuda.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come as big as the yellow variety. It comes about 3 to 4 inches across as well when it's mature.
Okay. So if you could cut across do a cross section of the onion so that they could see, what it looks like. And in the meantime, tell us, how many plants you think you have here total?
In terms of onion?
Yes.
I started with about 80 of each type.
80 of each type?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And where did you get your plants?
I ordered them from a company over in Texas.
Okay. And usually Lesroy teams up with, friends to purchase his onions. That way you get a cheaper price. So that's what I would recommend if you plan to grow onions. Make sure you team up with someone and order, to order your onions if you're ordering from a catalog. As he said before, if you're ordering onions, you want to order short day onions. Sometimes you may go to a big box store and they have onions and they're long day onions. So try and make sure you're getting the right variety. So if you could cut across that onion. Okay, so that's what that one looks like. And then here we have the yellow. So there's, not much of a bit of a difference in color on the inside of each of them. So that's the yellow over there, and this is the white, and now he's cutting the red one. Or you may prefer to, some people may prefer to say purple, because it's actually purple. And that's what this one looks on the inside. I like these red onions in salads. That's, where I like those most. We do cook with a lot of onions. You can never have too many onions or garlic I do like to cook with onions. Okay, so anything else you want to share with us regarding your onions, Lesroy?
In terms of watering, you want to give them 1 to 2 inches of water per week.
Okay.
You want to keep the soil moist. They're heavy feeders of water.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, we certainly enjoyed taking the time with you to learn about onions. And thank you, as always, for being with us and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk Gardening, where we shared with you about the different onion varieties that we have here growing in our backyard. And we hope that you gained some useful tips to grow your own onions next growing season, which is next December, thereabout. So thank you so much. This is Norma Samuel with the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, Uf-IFAS Extension, Sumter.